Let's play a game. Imagine that every single day, since the day the Great Pyramid of Giza was finished, you earn $10,000 every day for 4,500 years, weekends included. You'd have about $16 billion, which sounds incredible until you realize it's less than 2% of 1 trillion. You have no idea how big a trillion is. Nobody does. So today, we're going to measure it. This is magnitude. Here's the problem with the word trillion. Your brain treats million, billion, and trillion like they're neighbors. Just nice round words that rhyme. They are not neighbors. A million seconds is about 11 and a half days. A billion seconds? Nearly 32 years. And a trillion seconds is 31,000 years. If you started counting one number per second right now, you'd finish counting to a trillion around the year 33,700, assuming you never slept, which, frankly, would be the least of your problems. Here's the cruel part. You'd pass a billion within one lifetime, about 32 years in, and then you'd spend the next 31,000 years on the rest. That gap is not a rounding quirk. A billion is 1,000 millions. A trillion is 1,000 billions. Every step up isn't a step. It's 1,000 steps. So when a government spends $1 trillion, your brain hears a lot. What it should hear is a number so large it stops behaving like money and starts behaving like geography. And here's the thing about geography. You don't count mountains. You survey them. Mag here is going to try to measure it anyway. Good luck, buddy. Let's start with something you can hold. A single $100 bill. About a gram. About 1/10 of a millimeter thick. It weighs the same as a paperclip. You could lose it in a jacket pocket and genuinely not notice. Remember this bill. It's our unit of measurement. 10,000 of those, $1 million, makes a stack about a meter tall. Congratulations. It fits in a grocery bag. That's the entire dream. The yacht club fantasy, the never work again number, and it's knee-high. Millionaires are boring. Now $1 billion in hundreds. That stack is over 1 kilometer tall. For reference, the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building humans have ever constructed, is 828 meters. Your billion-dollar stack clears it with room to spare. 1,000 grocery bag millions welded into a single tower. Mag is already sweating. And 1 trillion? That stack of $100 bills is roughly 1,000 kilometers tall. Let's be clear about what that means. 12 kilometers up, you pass the cruising altitude of every airliner on Earth. At 100 kilometers, space. Officially, that's the Kármán line. And your stack is 1% done. The International Space Station orbits at around 400 kilometers. Your money keeps going. It finally tops out more than twice as high as the ISS. Astronauts would look up at your net worth. And that's 1 trillion. 1. Keep that column in your head. We're going to need it again. Prefer weight? $1 trillion in hundreds is 10 billion banknotes. Roughly 10,000 tons. That's approximately one entire Eiffel Tower, except made of cash. Gustave Eiffel needed about 7,300 tons of iron for the structure itself. Your money outweighs his whole tower, which is somehow both more and less useful. Prefer time? Say you're rich enough to spend $1 million every single day. No investing, pure spending. Yachts on Monday, an island by Friday, and $1 million a day is not normal rich. That's by the hotel rich. Doesn't matter. At that pace, Burning through $1 trillion takes you about 2,700 years. Rome rose and fell in about 1200. You'd have started spending under the ancient Greeks, and you'd still be going. So here's where it gets strange, because trillions are everywhere now. The United States government collects roughly $5 trillion in taxes every year and spends more than that. America's national debt is closing in on $40 trillion. Want that personal? It works out to about $115,000 of debt per citizen. Every newborn American arrives owing more than a brand new Porsche. And global debt, every government, company, and household on Earth combined, is estimated at over $300 trillion. That's 300 of our space elevator money stacks. Numbers this size stop being news. We hear trillion on a Tuesday and scroll past. That's how far behind your brain has been left. In 2025, NVIDIA, a company that makes chips, became the first business in history valued at $4 trillion. One company, younger than the compact disc, worth roughly the entire yearly economic output of Japan, more than the annual output of India. One company. But here's the twist your brain needs. Almost none of this money is real. Not in the stack of bills sense. Total physical U.S. currency, every note and coin in circulation everywhere on Earth, is only around $2.3 trillion. That's it. Every vault, every mattress, every armored truck, every casino cage on the planet, 2.3 trillion. Everything else, the other 90-something% of money, has never been printed at all. It exists as entries in databases. Your bank balance isn't a pile of cash in a vault. It's a promise, recorded in a ledger. Which means the question, where is all the money, has a genuinely modern answer. It's in columns. Database columns. NVIDIA's $4 trillion? That's a price. What the last buyer paid, multiplied across every share. If everyone tried to cash out at once, the number would evaporate long before anyone finished selling. It's musical chairs, priced at the last chair sold. National debts, market caps, the hundreds of trillions in financial contracts stacked on top of the world economy, they're all measurements of promises, not piles, which leads to the genuinely uncomfortable question. If $1 trillion is too big to picture, and most of it doesn't physically exist anyway, what exactly are we all counting? The answer is trust. That's the entire system. $1 trillion is 1 trillion units of we all agree this counts. The stack of bills was never the point. The agreement was. So let's do it. All the way out. $100 bill. Pull back a 1-meter million. Pull back $1 billion, towering over the Burj Khalifa. Pull back $1 trillion, 1,000-kilometer column punching past the space station. Mag clinging to the top with his tape measure flapping. Keep going. America's $40 trillion debt, 40 columns. Global debt, 300 columns. A forest of money rising out of the planet like quills. And now the entire visible pile, every column, flickers and dissolves into glowing ledger entries. Every comparison we built today, the tower, the space elevator, the forest, all of it, just agreement, glowing in the dark. Because that's what it always was. So the next time someone says trillion, see like about in repuse of a big number, there's artists at Versailles, I'm knowing think it from mastic systemicities of impact. That's the KT's reserve impressions about the one teams. Until next time's trillion likes it see trillion, like it's just a big number. Trust, yes. Remember, it's a stack of cash taller than space, heavier than the Eiffel Tower, older than civilization if you tried to spend it, and it's mostly made of trust. But here's the thing about trust. It can be counted, and it can be owned. That's not a conspiracy, by the way. It's just plumbing. Somebody has to hold the ledger. And a shocking amount of the world's trust is held by a handful of companies you've barely heard of. Who actually owns everything? That's next time on Magnitude.